Ready.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Adeel Pirzada podcast. This is episode number 19. Glad to be here today. And glad to be here. I think it was your turn to introduce the show.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Kevin just stole my line. Yeah. Welcome, everyone, to another podcast of Adeel Pirzada podcast. Thank you, Kevin, for making the introduction. It was nice and pleasant. Maybe one day you'll do this and I can retire, but this is already too early. So, Today podcast, we're going to have another short, quick one. And we want to talk about, as usual, construction and real estate. But in construction, main focus is the project planning that we're about to discuss. But before I do that, I'm still going to have a pleasure to introduce my co-host, Mr. Kevin Padillo. So, Kevin, you're doing wonderful. I think having a good Friday.
Yes, I am. Glad to be here, guys. Glad to be here today and glad to learn. This podcast is sponsored and hosted by the Pircon Group. We're commercial construction experts. We build everything from restaurants to offices up to multifamily. And a lot of
residential, single family, multifamily, duplexes, triplex, fourplex, basements, special projects, home additions, backyard suites, and then obviously the commercial stuff that we talk about. So all the retail, the industrial, the commercial, restaurants and retail centers and offices.
For sure. Yeah, all that good stuff. We're building a lot of good things. We do design and build. Please don't get us confused. We don't do handyman work or smaller work like that. We do a lot of commercial projects and major residential projects. And happy to help you. We also do design as well. So if you need help with any building permits or development permits, drawings that you'll require, our team is happy to help, and we have a great team ready to design for you.
Yeah, and there is nothing wrong doing a small work. Not that it's the we actually really believe that we want to be the force and the power for our clients and customer where it's worth it the most. A lot of time we will turn down a project or help our customer getting and hiring another person if we see it's too small. And the reason why is that it's just not worth it. It's actually not worth it for our customers to hire us on a something so small that could they easily fix the problem. So we want to actually have a bigger and a more heavier problem from our clients to deal with, something that they're going to probably waste a lot of their time and energy and effort solving those. So with all of our experience and all of our talent and skills that we have on our team, we actually like to take on things that are not doable by a lot of other teams or by the owner themselves. And that's why, they're getting bang for their buck in that way.
For sure. And another way for you to get a bang for your buck is to hire a great team that could plan your project for you. So go ahead and visit our website, pircongroup.com. You could also reach me at my number. Check the link or check the description down below. You'll see all my information there. And you could get in touch with me and we'll build you a quote and we'll learn how we can help you with your project. And if we can't do it, we'll point you in the right direction that is good for you.
Yeah, our process with commercial quotes is really quick. So you want to take advantage of that. The reason why we have it set up such a quick way, because most of the retail projects kind of land within the same guidelines. So we have a special setup for our commercial retail projects. So anything within that, we're able to get you a quote pretty quick.
Yeah. Awesome. Let's jump into it. So today we're talking about project planning. And Adeel, what do you think about that? What kind of information do you want to share?
So this is like kind of continuation of what we discussed last week. So last week we were discussing, and we specifically talk about restaurants, but it's for any retail mainly, and the restaurants being the toughest and the hardest one, and within that category. So we kind of focus on that. But it was all about how do you find a place and how do you find the right designer and how do you find the right construction team. So you should watch that episode. There is a lot of information about finding a place and getting your initial stuff checked off, right? Now, today we're going to talk about construction planning. So whether it's you doing that construction, let's say it was a small enough construction, or you had a couple of people helping you, or you had a GC, how would you plan that construction? And we're not going to go too much detail in that. There is so much that we could talk about, but I think we're going to keep it very short and simple for you to grab some key points out of how do you plan a construction project.
Awesome. Yeah, let's do it from a high level. Adeel, so where do we want to get started here?
So I always talk about this, that planning, it's all about planning. The reason why we want to have building permits is planning, right? The reason why it goes to the city, it's planning. So everybody can check that certain requirements are met. And it's what a nice way to get it done is get it done on a piece of paper in shape of drawings so you can see everything. So planning is the most important part, and the planning starts with your drawings. Now, I don't mean the professional drawings from day one, but it starts with maybe a rough sketch, okay? So a pen and a piece of paper, and grab something straight, a ruler, and just draw 4 lines and make your square or triangle your rectangle, whatever that is, your store, your commercial retail place, just make that. If you don't have that already, if you got something in a shape of, a drawing, a professional drawing, get that, remove everything out of it, leave the 4 walls, and just start planning. And what is planning? Where everything is going to be. And that's why, like I said, the last episode had some information, how you can get started on that with the professional help. But for your own, if you even had an architect on team, it doesn't hurt for you to grab a piece of paper and a pen and just draw it out for yourself. And I know a lot of us are not very creative and not, very artistic like that we can just start drawing stuff, but give it a try, grab something straight and at least try to have straight lines. If you got a little bit wavy lines, that's all good. Just try it, because it's very important. Because here's the thing, right? Once you start, there's some connection us as a human being we have with a pen and paper, that as soon as we start writing it down, it does a couple things to us. It actually allows us to think. Okay, to kind of think, hey, I'm going to have a washroom. What kind of mirrors do I want? Or toilets or sinks, and so maybe it will bring up those little details that might be stuck in your head somewhere. And as soon as you start kind of drawing it, it will allow you to think about those things. So it's very important. Pen and a piece of paper. Start there. So that's what I would say, number one. Now, if you got an architect on the team, so he's going to do a lot of work for you. And I would say, yes, you would rely on a professional team, any professional architect, and they'll figure out a lot of things for you. So that's great. But you still would have to provide some instructions to them. What do you want? What your place looks like. So this is all about planning, okay? Because once you start sketching, once you start doing a rough plan, you got a floor plan, you kind of know where your walls are, you kind of know where the places are. You need to decide every single thing. So grab another piece and start writing down on item list that what are you putting. So you got sinks, toilets, faucets, mirrors, fans, lights, flooring, what kinds of flooring, and where goes what. This is all part of the planning, guys. So make sure you have as much information as possible on that piece of paper when you're doing your plan. Now, some of this stuff, I think I want to keep it limited. Actually, most of it limited for people who are actually going to do their construction themselves. Because if you found the right help, or if you had an ability to do that, then a professional company would do exactly the things I'm telling you. So let's say if we were to hire Pircon, we would only need few things from you, some initial design concept, and then some planning. You could do your own, and that would help you and help us to understand your project. But after that, we'll take the weight off you. We're going to do all the work for you. There's no point for you doing it. This is really helpful for people that are going to do the work themselves or have some other people hired, and they're going to be the glue for them to get the work done. Or let's say for another construction company. The planning needs to be done to the best level possible. Like I said, have all the list items done, write it down. It's because planning allows you to do a couple of things. It'll allow you to understand what is your scope of work, and also it would help you to understand what your cost is going to look like, especially the materials. If you're not a professional contractor and you don't know the cost of everything, if you have a plan and you know what items you need to put in, at least you can start finding out the cost for all the materials. And then this is what I would do. Soon as you make your rough sketch plan, number 1. Number 2, write down the items. Number 3, start writing down your cost. This is all part of planning, because if you don't know your cost, you're not going to be able to know what your end product needs to be. So what it really means, if you don't have your cost of every single item that you want in there, you may be looking at some of the stuff that is very unrealistic. You might be thinking of the things you want in your project that you can't even make it happen because you can't pay the cost. So that's another thing that planning brings out for you. You may be thinking, you may have visited some place and you're like, oh, I love that chandelier, I want that in my place. But if you don't know the cost, you don't even know if you really want it or not. So that's why planning is super important, and pay attention to that. I honestly, I would do some part of the planning, even like I said, if I was hiring a professional company, I would still do some part of the planning myself and keep it for my notes, and also keep it so I can share with that contractor or your designer or GC. So that's the part about planning, Kevin. How do you, so I like I said, 3 steps, very simple. Just break it down, right? Sketch. Number 1, make the drawing, make the sketch. Number 2, write. Why I'm saying the drawings first, because it will allow you to reimagine or think about those things that you maybe haven't thought about, like doors, right? When you draw a room, you're like, I need a door. Which way does it need to open? Right hand or left hand? What kind of locks? What kind of door? What kind of paint? So all those things will start popping in your head if you're doing it right. So that's why start with sketching the floor plan. Once you got that number 1 done, now you can write down all the items, right? All the list that goes into that. And then once you have that, now you can really look at what is the cost for some of this stuff, and who do you need to hire? Maybe there is a very little framing, so you can get okay framer to do it. Maybe it's a very complex framing that I would suggest don't even enter the project yourself. Have a GC sort of helping you out. So those would be the top 3 on my list. Is there any questions, Kevin, that you have around that?
No.
Make sense to you?
Yeah, good value.
Yeah. Kevin is super tired today. He was actually wanting to take a nap before this, so I forced him not to. So I guess he'll take one after now. Right?
Yeah, some good stuff here. Planning is important.
Yeah. So I'll leave you guys with that for today. Planning. Just anything you would do, I think you should do a planning. If you're purchasing a car, do a planning. How much is the car going to cost? How much is my registration? How much is my insurance? How many months can I go, without certain things? How many, do you need a car starter? Yeah. Well, do I need to get it now? Maybe not. Right? So those are the things. And if you don't start writing it down, if you're not in a habit of writing things down and creating something for yourself that you can look at, it's gonna be pretty tough for you for deciding, especially for like we have to do it as a professional general contractor. Obviously, we use different systems and softwares, and we do things. On the very early stages too, maybe it was when it was just a pen and paper, maybe a spreadsheet for us. I had to get into habit of writing these things down, even though it cost a lot of time and energy. But the benefit is that 2 months later, 3 months later, I could go back and I can look at those things, right? And I have helped hundreds of people, I would say, just with this technique, like building their own store, family, friends, and other friends, and then maybe they didn't have enough budget and they're like, hey, I wanted a little small renovation in my store. Like, I don't know, where should I start? Maybe you can help. Maybe you're too much in cost. Maybe I can't afford you. So all I could do at the very least, I mean, if I can help them out and I can really do the construction for them, at the very least I would tell them, and I'll just give them this advice. Draw your floor plan. And some of them I have helped. They had really bad drawing skills. So I have helped with my own hand their floor plans. So draw your floor plan, write the list of items that you want in there, countertop, what kind, millwork, what kind, like all that stuff, right? Make some columns, right? Just draw some lines and make a table, and on another paper, write those items down, line items. And maybe assign, like I said, a price to it. So you can assign a price to it, and then you can start getting closer to your project, and then you can see the ending of your project, right? And that's what you want. You want to actually, there was one term that we were talking, Kevin, is the pull planning, right?
Yeah.
So pull planning, and what that does is actually allows you to build a project backwards. So you want to look at the end product first, and then you chase the first, the starting point. So that is another great way of learning about planning, that, hey, this is my end product. This is my end goal. So in order to meet that, what do I need? So, and then you connect all the dots, okay, there's different examples, right? Like if I need to build something, maybe I need to demolish something first, right? So, okay, demolition goes first. So there's a lot of things, or I don't know, like for paint would be, hey, if I need paint, I need drywall. If I need drywall, I need framing. So you would start, you want to see the end product, because for some people, some products it's easier to see. You always want to look at the end product, because that will help you imagine your place.
For sure.
And then you work backwards.
That's actually, so I am learning about this pull planning, last planning system, LPS, and thank you for all the people that teach me this, especially people that involved with lean construction. The big thing about that I recently learned is last planning system. I want to share this with you, Adeel. One day I will. And it's basically where, just so Adeel just said, it's going backwards from milestones, but one thing they do is they gather all the subcontractors and contractors in one meeting before the project starts. They mark out milestones, drywall, framing, rough-in, whatever. And all this stuff would be in order. And then the project manager would ask each trade, thinking, okay, what is the last milestone that you need before this? So let's say, for example, the drywall guy, the milestone that comes before him would be the framing, and also the electrical to make sure it's all good before the walls come up. So he needs, the last milestone that the drywall guy needs is he needs to make sure that, the plumbers and the electricians, they have everything in order. And also the framing is up. He needs to make sure the framing is up, so when it's time to close the wall, they don't need to open it back up. So it works backwards from milestones. I'm learning a lot about this. I'm going to learn more about this and apply it in my own department, in the marketing department. And it'll be cool to see how it works. And if you're into construction, I suggest that you look into it. It's called pull planning with lean construction. And projects have actually been ahead of their timeline 20% from using this system, and it actually reduces waste and increases productivity. And so yeah, I'm learning a lot about this. I'm still a student, but
Yeah.
that's so much to learn.
A big part of design and construction is about actually having the ability to visualize your project. Okay, the end product you want to see
Yeah.
in shape, and it's, I know for some people it's maybe very hard to do, but if you have that ability to see, and I know a lot of entrepreneurs do, and that's why there are entrepreneurs. That's why they have something going, because they're creative. They can, they have these skills where they can pick off, random things and put it together in their head and see the end product. And yeah, if you're able to do that, if you're able to draw that in your head, try to draw that on a piece of paper. And like I said, not in a professional form, like you're doing 3D renderings with hand and doing these sketches. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about just simple drawing, just a 2D drawing, 4 lines, whatever you need to draw within that, and a list and a form, like a list of items. Very simple. You got those two together, you're already halfway in your planning. And then it's just shortening it down, right? So you're halfway in your planning, and then like Kevin said, if you want to take the method of pulled planning, so you're start reimagining things, working backwards. So that helps. Search up pulled planning on Google, and you'll see what's that about. Also, there is a lot of tools on the web about doing projects. Again, like you can use, there's so much information and there's so much maybe tools on the web that you could use, but those tools are only good if you apply them correctly and if you actually use them and you understand them. And again, it all starts with that pen and paper. If you get that in hand, then using the tools make things even easier for you. Then you can do different things that can also help improve your project in different ways. So yeah, that was today's message, project planning. And I hope you guys got a good, good learning lessons from that. Right?
Yes. For sure. Yes. Today, do you have any more you want to share or no?
I mean, there's so much into planning, and like you want to look at Gantt charts, and then you want to start planning. How do you move into the site?
There's Kanban.
Yeah. How you move out of the site. But those are like maybe for professional contractors and if you're looking into bigger projects. But I think to start with, this is the best way for someone new, for someone starting up, even as a small GC, or some like for a owner, like for a small business owner, entrepreneur, that is developing their first place, and they don't have much work and they think they want to take care of it themselves. That would be the way to start with pen and paper, and then do those three things, and then you'll start. Once you have those, you'll start gathering more. Now, I'll tell you another thing that you could do, which is maybe a little hard, for some people, is if you are now going ahead, so you got pretty good planning, you find out what your cost is, what products you want, is now scheduling trade. And another method that you can use, and again, use pull planning. Check that out on Google. Very simple, pop up there, it'll tell you what it is. One other thing you want to do is called, I don't have the name for it, but you basically want to build a Gantt chart. Okay, so the next stage to that is build a chart of which subtrade you have, when they will come in and when they'll finish, and who comes after that, who will be coming during that. So that does require more detail, and actually will maybe require a bigger a longer podcast if we were to really go deep dive into that. But check it out, a Gantt chart, right? So check out pull planning, check out Gantt chart, and then if you combine those two, you can get a pretty good construction software out of it in a way that can help you building your project. So
yeah, and last planning system, planning. It's all in lean. If you ever heard of lean, lean was actually invented. They studied Toyota. Toyota made a bunch of vehicles, but then Toyota, the founders, actually wanted to improve productivity and efficiency. So they reflected every day, thinking, "Hey, how can we make this car faster? How can we reduce waste? Maybe if we move the table closer and the garbage closer, so they don't have to walk away and take 3 steps, and they'll take 5 extra minutes. What if we move everything closer? What if the tools are right here?" So they discovered this, and they wanted to make things lean. So they discovered a huge thing called lean. And you could look it up. I'm learning a lot about it. I'm no expert on it. I'm a full student. And I thanks to the Construction Association, I go to these free events. I actually went to one today. And I'm learning a lot about lean. So yeah, check it out. Check it out. It won't be, I'm probably not doing it the best justice, but check it out and you can see. Also Gantt charts. Also check out, make sure you have those drawings and you have that 4 squares or 4 lines to draw your place, and just to help plan your project. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. So if you guys have any questions and any suggestions about our discussion, please do put in the comments below. Do hit the like button. Do subscribe our channel. And keep in touch. And if there is anything that you want to know that you would want us to discuss about, please do let us know, and we'll be mindful of that.
Awesome. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Have a great day.
Thanks, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend. Great night.
Bye.